Welcome back, everyone, to the Magnus Effect, the podcast where we talk to ambitious college students and understand how they're balancing their passions with the day-to-day college life. Today, I talk with my good friend Kyle Zhang, who goes to the University of Pennsylvania on the East Coast, where he's studying entrepreneurship and computer science. This episode will be a two-parter, where this first episode focuses on having a candid conversation with Kyle and understand what life is like at UPenn as well as his experiences. In the second part, we'll be looking more into Kyle's entrepreneurial ventures as well as his wisdom when it comes to networking, making friends, and a variety of different other social skills. If you're curious about what life is like on the East Coast as a college student, or if you are interested in just listening to a playful conversation, this episode is just for you. I really hope you guys enjoy this episode, and without further ado, please welcome Kyle. Hello, Kyle. Welcome.
Hello.
Tell me a little bit about your major.
So I am studying CS and entrepreneurship at UPenn in this dual degree program called Management and Technology, similar to Berkeley's M&T. Basically a dual degree between business and engineering.
How did you get into each of these majors? I'm curious.
Yeah, so I guess family background, my dad and my mom are both into tech, and that's how I naturally got into CS. And for business, I started basically, making websites and all that kind of stuff and kind of getting into content creation.
Content creation, really?
Yeah, and like influencing people. And that kind of led me to, find business as like a good way to impact people with like my engineering abilities.
So this was all during high school, or like was this like in college?
This was in high school. Yeah.
This was in high school. Tell me about like content creation. That seems like fun. I never heard about this from you. Like what kind of content did you create? Why did you get into it?
Yeah, so back in high school, I mostly played Rocket League and Valorant, so video games.
Oh, really? Super big into video gaming, I see.
Yeah, back then. By the way, I have think like 4,000 hours in Rocket League.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Do you regret it?
Do
you cherish every moment? Like, sometimes like to some people, video games are like this magical thing, right? Like, would you say you get immersed in the world?
I do get immersed in the world very much. So COVID hit sophomore and junior year of my high school life, right? And when that happened, of course, I would just like play 8 to 10 hours per day.
That's so funny, yeah.
crazy, I know. And like looking back, like I definitely could have spent my time a little different.
I think we all have that feeling, right? But
right,
it's a weird feeling that you can only experience when you're in that moment. It was like we couldn't go anywhere. What was the best thing to do, right? Like we weren't gonna study our asses off in our room. Are you kidding me? We were like, what? Little 14-year-olds, like minds that haven't been developed. We're gonna play video games. Sorry, continue.
Yeah. Where was I? So yeah. So I mean, looking back, I could have, I guess, spent my time a little different, but at the same time, I don't know where I guess I would be if I spent my time any different. But maybe I would be a little more socially competent, but who knows?
Socially competent?
No, I'm good, but yeah.
Really? Like, I thought like it being in like a video game world, like you'd have to do a lot of coordination between your teammates, like especially competitive games like
That's
Rocket
true.
League and Valorant. Would you say that's not the case with you, or?
It's a different kind of socialization, actually. So,
Really?
and like I definitely know, like this is definitely a different kind of socialization, basically because when I would play video games and like hop on Discord.
Mm-hmm. Hey, look, we're repping the mascot right here.
OnePlus right here. So I'd hop on Discord, and I would feel like a different person. I'd still feel like myself.
Really?
But like it'd be a little bit more normal to be very like outgoing and like, because by the nature of online, you could like basically be a little more an exaggerated version,
because no one's gonna like stand up to you, right? You don't have to suffer the face-to-face like consequences.
Face to face, yeah.
So you can be like anyone you want. Very interesting. How would you describe your personality?
Ooh. Um, I think three adjectives that like kind of wrap up my personality is I definitely like to joke around a lot,
Okay.
which actually, so studying business, right? You gotta be like pretty professional, all that kind of stuff, right? Um,
But
and
not too
definitely,
much, right? To fall into the like not to fall into a stereotype.
yeah. Well, okay. So at UPenn, right? There's lots of bankers. Um, like okay, so at Wharton, the business school at UPenn, it's very different than Haas here. Um, People are very driven by the next investment banking job, the next consulting job, whatever. And for those jobs, you have to be very professional, on your feet, I guess, and just like you have to like act like a certain kind of person. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
And I definitely so like going back to the trait of like I like to joke around a lot. Like I definitely could not survive. First of all, an interview, even like an IB or anything. Like
Oh no.
I'm sure I could, but like like of course I'm definitely not that kind of person to like be cut out to do that kind of stuff. In
Mhm.
IB and also just be like socializing in IB. So just like to mess around a lot, which gets me into like the entrepreneurship and founder route where you can be taken a little more lightheartedly and just being yourself is kind of what
People
kind of
look
entrepreneur.
for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What people look for and what kind of like what entrepreneurship actually is, right? So
No, I could definitely see that. And like whenever I run into a founder, I feel like I try to recognize something from them. I call it the founder energy. It's just like the aura they give off, right? It's like, man, that guy is passionate about what he's doing. That guy has a life to like really be able to talk to not only his like customers, but also to like all his workers. So I really like enjoy that. But can you describe to me like what life is up like in the West or East Coast, sorry.
compared to like the West Coast.
Just yeah, sure. Or from what you know of the West Coast, I don't know how well you know it up.
That's true. I mean, okay, so I grew up in Portland, Oregon, so West Coast. Of course, that's not California though. And California is definitely different, and especially Silicon Valley. But anyways, so let's see. Life up there is definitely a lot more not chill.
Not chill.
Not chill.
Really?
People up there are very. It's hard to stop someone for conversation on the East Coast. So, like maybe on the West Coast, I'd be walking and just like just today actually, like our friend was just sitting in line, just interviewing people,
Hmm.
right? And in the West Coast, you could just go up to anyone, ask them a question, they'll
They don't
answer,
care.
whatever, have a good conversation, whatever. West Coast, I mean East Coast, it's definitely not as much the case, for
Oh,
sure.
it's not much the case. Like East Coast people are talking to you or they're not talking to
Like
you.
if you see them on the streets, they have a mission. They know
They got places to
they got
be.
places to be.
And that's funny because like I literally did have a previous like podcast guest that was like telling me that like when they on their trip to New York, like almost you couldn't even talk to anyone because everyone in their own bubble, their own world, like trying to hustle to get somewhere else. Speaking of hustling, like how is the hustle culture like over there? I know you mentioned that everyone's like working towards like trying to get like an IB job or consulting job, especially at Penn, where Wharton's a pretty big name within the business field, right?
Yeah.
How is like the culture of academia?
Like research and all that kind of stuff.
Like, do you think the campus is pretty lively, or is everyone just spending most of their times in libraries studying, trying to get the high GPA, or trying to secure internships? I'm just trying to like gauge what the life is like at Penn and how it's like different from Berkeley.
Okay. I guess I have a few things to say on this. So I don't know what source it is, but Penn was ranked, I think, number 1 and number 2 depressed school.
No way, really?
Yeah. I forgot what source it was, but
Uh-huh.
I have no clue why. So that also brings into consideration kind of the places that where I'm at, and maybe how much of a different life I'm living. But for me, I'd say definitely like the hustle culture is interesting because everyone is trying to flex how much fun they have,
Really?
while like of course stay on top of everything, right?
Mhm.
So yeah, that's the hustle culture here. So essentially, you just like it's called pen face. So
Pen
like
face.
yeah, I don't know if Berkeley has Berkeley face, whatever.
No, I'm
Yeah,
assuming it's like poker face, right? It's like
it's something like that. I mean, I don't actually completely know the concept of pen face, but to my understanding, it's like you put on this like mask of like, hey, like you're smiling and like you're having like an amazing time at Penn,
Mhm.
while maybe like you're just like in the trenches and like or whatever. And yeah, so I think to my understanding that's Penn face, and the fact that there's a term for that, I guess, kind of speaks to why we're ranked so high, maybe. But yeah, that's a big culture, I guess, difference at Penn for sure.
Do you find yourself participating in a lot of pen face?
I personally don't like. So I personally actually enjoy almost every minute of
Almost.
I mean, because it'd be unrealistic to enjoy every single moment of
Right.
your life in general, right? Because it's ups and downs. But like I genuinely like think I enjoy almost like every minute of my life at UPenn.
Mhm.
Just like whether I'm in class, just learning, or just socializing, and just do even like Solitude. Like there's also something about Solitude like that I think is pretty interesting about happiness, because it's like there is and there is a point where like of course solitude becomes loneliness, and I
Really?
think those are two different things.
Mhm.
And of course, like, in my book, solitude is good, loneliness is bad. But a good amount of solitude actually lets you become happier, in my opinion.
Why is that?
It's like, because if you were, so I think from my experience, freshman year I was for Penn, you're always surrounded by people, and you wouldn't really get alone time, and to some extent that actually like takes a hit on your like the joy that you have. I feel like, because I feel like you need alone time in life.
Right.
So having that alone time lets you, I think, just reflect more about
Reflect
like,
more. No,
right.
I
So
definitely see like where you're coming from. I mean, first time I came on campus, I just felt like all my time was going to other people. Don't get me
right.
wrong, it was definitely there was a point of fun to it, but it slowly fades out, and you just wish you were just like you had some time to just like relax. I could definitely see the high pace. Talk to me about the M&T program. Is it as glamorous as they say it is? What are the benefits? Should people aim for it?
So of course it's a very prestigious program. I'm sure MET is too. Uh, so I remember, I think someone said, maybe you said this to me, but like MET was like, the MET director was like, we're the better version of like M&T, because we actually have like people that aren't bankers or something.
Interesting.
Um, of course that's the Wharton banking culture is crazy.
I mean, from what I see, it's like because we're near Silicon Valley, it's more engineering focused here versus in Penn, it's more business focused, is what I kind of interpret it as.
Yeah, especially with Penn being closer to New York,
Hmm.
the financial district of the world, I
Right. Wall
guess.
Street, like, yeah.
Yeah. So I guess that makes sense. So for me, right, like I love tech, so like kind of biased, but in a weird way, like I see the value in MET a lot. But of course, let's get back to M&T. So M&T, definitely the business, side of it. Wharton, it's Wharton. And you learn a lot and develop very, very high, finance and business skills, which, definitely grateful for that. So, and especially for me, I feel like, I mean, developing my tech side is definitely like a good thing to do. But of course, I've got exposure to it from a young age. It's not like I started coding when I just got into college. So I'm not as mad as I feel like someone would be if they got into M&T and like haven't done entrepreneurial techie things before coming to college. Which I feel like there are a good amount of people out there that, just like they come to college and they realize, oh, like CS is really cool. And, I hope they pursue a very, very long career in it and make some really cool things. Come to SF for that, But yeah, so of course, us being closer to New York, everyone's more focused on finance. M&T is definitely a great program to kind of prepare you for like just the rigor of life, I feel like.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you ever feel like it takes away from like your potential at all? Because reflecting on myself, right? Like MET to me was like not so friendly when it came to people that didn't do all the community college courses, didn't do all like the AP tests coming out of like high school. So
Shoot, I was one of them.
when I came in here, I was like, oh man, there's so many units, and I feel like I'm just like slaving away every day, just trying to like keep up with all the homework. Is that something you can reflect on, or is it not so much?
I actually, so I guess I don't slave away with homework. Like if it gets to the point where like, oh, I'm getting loaded with homework, like I will of course try my best to do it. But like I am fine with like letting go with the ideal image of myself getting like all A's in all classes.
Right.
Especially in college, I feel like it's important to like, okay, if you're pre-med, like don't listen to this, right? But like letting go of like your image of like, I'm that perfect student, and like kind of just, letting yourself be, I guess, more in college is definitely the move. Especially being at like a prestigious school like Berkeley or, Ivy League. There's just so many things to do in college. And
What
there's just that.
what specifically drew you to Penn?
So I guess we can go back to like college application process then. But I initially thought I was going to be a very big computer scientist. Wanted to go to CMU, but another Pennsylvania school. Initially wanted to go to CMU because some website was like, oh, #1 CS school. So yeah, initially wanted to go to CMU. Then I initially wanted to go to my state school because I was happy with going to a state school, super low tuition, just chilling and getting a good education. To be honest, at the state school too. Of course, like now getting into Penn and realizing like holy crap, like if I actually did that, like how much I would miss out on. So anyways, and then like kind of seeing maybe like how much less potential I would fulfill going to like a state school or something. But anyways, wait, what was the original question?
The original question was, what drew you to UPenn?
Oh yeah. So I wanted to go to CS schools, right? But then a Portland M&T upperclassman basically advertised the M&T program to me.
Oh, really?
This was like 3 days before the UPenn application was like due too.
Perfect timing.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, perfect. Absolutely perfect. And I was like, huh, interesting. Like, and of course, it had CS, right? So I was like, okay, I'll apply. Little do I know, I think what happens with college apps is like the way you are as a person, will influence how you write your essays, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in a sense, the application readers might know you better than you know yourself professionally in that sense.
Like through reading your essays and reading your words?
Yeah, because I thought I was going to be a CS nerd, maybe go into academia, research, professorship, and just, because I also loved, teaching the 200 kids, right? And just like sticking in CS my whole life. And of course, I still plan to. I still love CS, but like getting exposed to the business side of things, I think a big thing what Penn saw was like, a business side of me. And especially applying M&T, I feel like they had to see that, right? But when I saw that application like acceptance, I was like, huh. Like, of course I celebrated, but I was like, huh, like, am I like truly like cut out for business?
The
at this point,
imposter
right?
syndrome, right? Type almost.
Sorta, yeah, sorta. So
Not
sorta.
not imposter.
Like,
I guess that's a wrong word.
yeah, I like
Um,
imposter syndrome has like a negative connotation to it. It's more like if you had a monotone connotation to imposter syndrome, like
it's an interesting way of putting it.
yeah. Like it's not a bad thing, but like it's like kind of like that syndrome-esque kind of feeling. But yeah, so I had that interesting feeling, like, huh, like what did they see in me, kind of like that, pushed me towards the edge of business. And now reflecting on it and going to UPenn and seeing, I guess I took a chance on UPenn
Did
going.
you even take a tour, or did you just like?
I actually did
straight
not.
up-
I went to Penn, no tour. No. Wait, actually, yeah. No, like I haven't visited it. I visited Penn after I got in, and I was like, decent school, I guess.
Decent school.
Yeah. So, I guess yeah. That's where my head was at. I basically took a chance on UPenn and realized, wait, business is definitely like a part of me. Like I definitely don't see, the nerdy aspect of me anymore. Well, I mean, I still love to nerd out, by the way. Like that part of me still isn't, gone, of course, and I'm proud of that. But like, I realize, hey, like, there's people out there who are solely cut out for like CS and like are just, absolutely brilliant in the CS minds, and I'm just here. Like I love CS, I love building things, but of course I'd rather help people with the CS more than learning it for, research sake or to build a feature of an OpenAI like model or something.
Are you the guy that everyone goes to homework for? Like,
Dude. Wait. In high school, I wouldn't say so. In college, I also wouldn't say so.
what's been your favorite memory so far at Penn?
There's honestly too many.
There's too many.
There's too many to.
Tell me a story of one of them.
I think my favorite memories have to deal with me being very, very myself,
Mm-hmm.
but like, I'll just say unprofessional for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's
yeah.
what most people
Right.
would do.
Let's see. So, just messing around with friends. I think there's a moment where, this was like within the first week of like touching down at Penn, and just like first week at Penn, friend group, and basically me and several boys, we would be like kneeling with our butts out, and and then we one person would just basically slap our butts to play the drums,
Oh my god.
and we would play songs, and yeah,
Was he good?
he was good. He was good.
He was good.
Yep, that's a good memory. That's a really good memory.
Was this in like the dorms, or was
This
this
was in
like
the dorms,
straight
don't
up on
worry.
campus? or-
No. We ain't posted up on the fucking yeah.
Tell me about your on campus like involvement. Like you seem like a pretty social guy. I'm sure like you do a lot of things on campus. Tell me a little bit about that.
I honestly don't, like, personally, my own perception of myself. I personally don't think I do that much on campus. But at
Really?
the same time, like, I'm sure, like, I subjectively, like, people can also see why, like, I do a lot. But let's see. So, I had a quant club.
Really?
So this actually, if you go into my CS branch, I did lots of quant internships, up until now, and had just, lots of experience in that, which is, I guess, another thing to talk about. But so yeah, I basically, helping, I guess, teach, but like basically just heading a community that, maybe some freshman, sophomore wants a quant job, and it's just like a good open community for that.
Did you start this one, or do you like
No, I
gradually
joined
work your
it.
way up?
Yeah, like I joined into it.
You said you're heading like you're president now.
No, so there's heading the quant division of it.
Oh, there's a division of it. Oh, okay, I missed that part.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. So aside from that, is that your pretty much like what you do most?
No. So what else? Other than that, I feel like that's my most professional one. The other ones are actually, so there's club tennis.
Yeah.
There's squash.
You play squash.
I got into it because of college.
Really? Oh, that's so cool.
Some good memories with that one. And volleyball. So basically, like, sports is a big thing for me.
Right. Pretty active guy. Do you also go to the gym a lot, or is it really
Yeah. So
every day?
not every day. I'd say like 3 times a week.
3 times a week. Dang, active guy. Super cool. But
Oh no, 3 times a week I would exercise. So maybe like go to gym twice, and then like maybe play volleyball or something.
do you find yourself like in competition a lot? Like you love teaching, but do you also have a competitive like drive at all?
This is interesting. This is an interesting question because, like, yes, I love teaching and like love advancing, like, and helping people. And in competition, right? I guess you wouldn't really see, like, this is the cooperation versus competition kind of thing. Yes, I love cooperation, and I think I valued cooperation more. But if I am put into competition, like, literally I play Rocket League. It is a competition. There's like, I mean, there's also collaboration in it too, but at the end of the day, like, these kind of video games are competitive.
It pushes you to like have to fight against someone, right? There's always an enemy.
Right. So, in those competitive situations, yeah, like, I love those competitive situations because, they truly bring out the best out of you. Adrenaline is pumping. Like, yeah, it's amazing.
Is getting into like a club sports team or sports club, is it pretty hard over there? Is the floor, the skill floor, like pretty high?
Tennis is actually really tough, I think, to get on.
Really?
Like, actually really, really tough.
But for volleyball and squash?
I don't play club for those.
Oh, you know, it's just tennis.
Yeah. Like, so I like intramural, right? So.
Cause over here I got my ass whooped, man, for club tennis. It was not a fun, or it was a fun, super fun time. But I definitely realized that I have a lot to work on. But it's funny that you brought up earlier. I mean, I did not know you were into quant at all. Like,
right.
I'm
not into quant, guys.
Oh, you're not into quant.
No,
you just happen to take a lot of
I just happen
quant
to have lots
internships.
of experience in it. Yeah.
Oh, really? How does one accidentally stumble into a quant internship? I mean, those are notoriously hard to get into.
Yeah. So let's develop the CS branch now.
Okay.
Right? So, of course, learned AI, web development, for the entrepreneurial experiences. But I loved math. I loved CS. It only made sense that
How do you
after
put them together?
it only made it only made sense that after I finished APCSA, I realized, hey, like I love solving problems and like, in a mathy CS way.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna try my spot in quant research, by the way, not trading.
Quant research.
I cannot do quant trading. Definitely not. But
Why do you say it so strongly? Is it something that's like extremely difficult, or because I don't know much about this field at all?
Right. So, in my opinion, quant trading is definitely a lot more difficult.
Mm-hmm.
You have to like make decisions on your feet. It's like playing a Rocket League game, to be honest. Which
I feel like it's
that doesn't help my case, I guess. But yeah. So quant trading is like you're kind of competing against the market. So, but then quant research is more like collaborative. So that's why I feel like I'm a more collaborative person, because quant research, you basically work with the quant traders to help them, like do what they want, and like basically backtest what they think is a good thing, and like a good strategy. But yeah, so like quant research, love it. It's not as stressful as quant trading, and it's more collaborative, which is why I love it. Of course, I guess when it comes to focus, I realized that like I don't want to do quant long term, so why should I even like put more effort into it?
Interesting.
So in terms of like
because you're not money driven, right? Like
Yeah.
you don't really care about the stress it puts on you.
Yeah. And speaking of like not money driven, I still only did quant because I loved the adrenaline and working with a quant trader and developing my math and CS skills.
Mm-hmm.
So
when it comes to fitness, why do you do it? Like, is it for, you mentioned a little bit about like self-love. Is fitness self-love? Is fitness for the sake of socializing? What is it for to you? What is it?
fitness is a form of self-love, in my opinion. In the fact that if you do it, you like inherently like are putting like self-love on yourself, because like you're improving like your body, hopefully. But then also after you exercise, you love yourself more, because like, hey, like I just did an amazing like whatever workout or like sport, socialized, and like I'm happy about it. So that, mentally, physically, emotionally, like that's the exercise is just amazing for that, right? For that post feeling, and that's all scientific, right? But like it's kind of spiritually, while you're doing it, it's that feeling of like I'm doing this because I love myself. And of course then all the scientific, like, hey, like if you exercise 60 minutes per day, which I don't unfortunately do. But I'm happy with exercising 3 times a day. I mean, three times a week, but
3 times a day. That's wild. That's
that's
a lot of love
man.
you're giving yourself.
That is a lot of love. But yeah.
What other things are you doing that you would consider self-love to yourself?
Catching up with friends.
Catching up with friends. Why is that? I mean, I feel like that contradicts what you said about like having a solitude.
Yeah. I think it's because you're putting in the conscious effort to catch up with a friend, to get to know what they've been doing, to check in if they're okay, to just be with them, right? Like give them your time. And that's like, the most precious resource that you can give to someone. And to, for someone to be worthy enough to, give them time, that's the truest form of like honor, in my opinion. Right? So it's just like you're putting that conscious effort to not only, I guess choose who your friends are, but also, to give that time to your friends. And that's a big part of self-love, because you're putting in that conscious effort to like improve your relationships, I guess. But it's also like, yeah, just check in with them, and just like we're all social creatures too.
The people that you get along with the most within your circle. Like, would you describe your friend circle to be like people that push you, or people that are just there to like hang out with and have fun with? Like, how would you describe your circle?
Oh, good question. So I think there's two critical things for what makes as we progress with these two things, that's kind of how you measure how close you are with me.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like how safe I feel when I'm with you.
Mm-hmm.
That could be like emotionally, physically, whatever. And then it's also like how is it? How much of a different life actually that you live from me, which is different.
Interesting.
Yeah. But it's also like, if we can't find similarities, of course, like, a friendship does, need to have that common ground, right? Like, it could even be like, oh, like we both go to the same school, like some common ground, right? But of course, the more common ground, the better. But there's gotta be. So this actually brings me back to a saying. It's like the strength of a pack is in the wolf.
Interesting.
And the strength of a wolf is in the pack. So it's like in your close friend circle, like everyone has to have their own identity, right? But at the same time, the strength of the wolf is in the pack, right? And the fact that everyone, has that kind of unique bond, that like how different identities clash actually unite us together. I like that.
No, I kind of see it. I definitely see what you're trying to say, but curious on your take on this. It's like, what do you think you value more? Do you value similar values, or do you value similar like hobbies and experiences more in a person?
So those are two different kinds of like relationships. So, let's see. So people that I share hobbies with, like, of course, I'm gonna be friends with both types, right? And I have friends of both types, but people that I share hobbies with, like I could play tennis with you or something, or I could like play some video games with you. That's like sharing experiences together, right? The other one was sharing values, right? Yeah. So sharing values is interesting. It's like, I think, okay, so I here's a good example. So sharing values is good for like business, right? Like, cause if two people value different things, then for business that would not like strike well, because of course a business can only focus on so much.
Right.
So, aligning values personally / professionally in business is essential, for conducing business and all that kind of stuff. So that's one example of like sharing values and like how that would facilitate a relationship, right?
Right. So you would value the more experiences over values, you think?
For a personal relationship.
For a personal relationship. Okay.
Yeah.
Is there anything you would say that you have specifically to yourself that you can define as your values?
Oh, that's a good question.
I can tell you one that you've already mentioned to me. You said you're not chasing money.
That is true. Yeah. That's a big one. Yeah. I feel like everyone's identity is very complex. So it's like, like me trying to put it into words is like kind of reducing.
Right, but that's why we're doing this, right? It's like it's an opportunity for you to like kind of think it through.
I mean, I just feel like that's not okay. So okay, I'll answer that. So why I'm not chasing money is, of course, that I feel like, in my opinion, for my life, life isn't about making all that money. Life isn't about all that kind of stuff. And I feel like for most people, a life worth living is a life filled with worthy relationships. And I think that's the case with most people. So like, building close relationships with people that you love is kind of like what makes you want to live every day.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm sure there's people out there, so many different identities that, we all value different things.
So you don't have any like materialistic goal in mind. You just you want to live your life happily doing the thing you like.
Yeah.
I like that. Did anything else come to your mind or not really for the values?
I mean, I guess honesty is a good one.
Honesty. That's always
Um,
yeah. Why is it that you value
and
honesty?
accountability. Accountability.
Accountability.
Yeah.
Why those two?
Well, I mean, I feel like any good relationship is built on trust,
Mm-hmm.
like any good one. Um, so honesty is just a huge one for me and the person that I would have a relationship with. So honesty is a big one, and then accountability. It's like it again goes to trust. Like, how much can I trust that you know what you say, what you mean, is like actually what you mean, right? And that's kind of like more like accountability and honesty. So like they're kind of both like intertwined, but yeah, I feel like that's a big. Those are some big ones for me, and that's why I feel like that actually makes me think. So that that's why I guess I like business because those are traits that are valued in business, right?
Really?
Honesty and accountability, like of course, right? You got to like be able to communicate honestly and take account of your mistakes and your right doings too. So yeah.
Would you describe yourself as an optimist? Because I don't know. Sometimes like I feel like you made a pretty big generalization there. Because business is I feel like sometimes seen as like a ruthless battlefield. You know, there's definitely people that do pursue or do succeed from holding their values, but there's also people that try to get on top by snaking other people. You know.
I mean, that goes to the question of like, are you a giver or taker in this world,
Mm.
right? Um, Usually, if you're a giver, I feel like you'll actually, because okay, what you put in this world is what you'll get back. And that's just like in science, you see it as the conservation of energy, but like it's also I believe, at least I believe that's true. Whatever you really put out in this world, you'll get back. So you give and you get. So and if you take, I feel like it will catch up to you.
If you're not chasing money, how do you picture your life in the future?
That's a really good question.
Do you have like a concrete like idea? Do you think about driving like a normal car, like a I don't know, Honda Civic and like a two-story house, or what does that look like for you?
All I know is whatever the life that I want, I'll be fine. Like I will, like wherever life wants me, like I'll be there.
You'll be there. You'll get through it. How do you have that confidence? How do you
I
find it?
just do.
You just do.
Yeah.
It's not something you like read a book on or it's like anything you listen to. It's just innately with you.
I mean, I think it's just like
How does someone who doesn't have confidence find confidence?
it's all about the relationship you have with yourself. That's it. Because if someone's not confident about themselves and they're not confident about where they're gonna be in 5 years, that's just a way of saying that they don't like where they are right now, which is fine, I guess. Like you know, they have the right to, I guess, hate themselves for that moment. Um,
Wait, so to reiterate, let me know if I'm hearing this right. You're saying if you don't have the confidence for something, it's because you're doing something you don't like. Or it's not you're doing something that's leading towards something that's not satisfying you.
I wouldn't agree with that paraphrase. I guess it's more like I mean, it's more like, okay, so like if someone's not confident about where they'll be, it's just like it doesn't really say anything about where they'll actually be in like 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
And like the fact that they're scared about it, it says a lot about what they think about self-love at the current moment.
Okay.
Yeah. And like sure, like I'm sure, you know, if you did something really bad, if you're in a rough spot in your life, it's harder to be like, hey, you know, like I love the situation I'm in. Um and yeah, like of course that goes to like how people are, you know, brought up. Everyone's brought up different. And you know, maybe some people aren't brought up in like a very like secure, like, you know, spot or wherever, and they're predisposed to have those kind of thoughts. But
Do you think part of okay, so you well, I mean, I think you just touched upon it right now, like, uh, given their circumstances, kind of it might have controlled like their confidence level. Do you think your upbringing has really helped with your confidence?
I mean, for sure yes. Like the answer is yes.
Hmm.
To explain the answer, it's kind of a little more complicated.
I guess what am I trying to say? I think in another conversation I had, I brought up the point of how living like having a more like comfortable upbringing, you're probably more willing to take risks because you have that established foundation. You always have a safety net to fall on. Whereas people who didn't have a great upbringing might be more focused towards getting a stable job and playing a low risk card. So when it comes to your specific upbringing, I mean, is would you say you were inclined to take more risks?
Yeah,
Yeah, for
definitely.
sure.
Like, I'm sure I was provided with that like security at home, which I'm definitely grateful for. So then, like, I feel like I can take risks and be a more riskier version of myself, which is inherently like myself, like being myself more, because like I'm taking the risk to like get to know if this is my true self, right? And I do understand like that is inherent like privilege and everything. Um, what is it? What was the first thing that you said about like?
Like people who didn't have like a fortunate upbringing, like trying to find a stable
Yeah.
life,
Oh
or
yeah, yeah. 'Cause so I did want to say one thing about that. So it's just like those people who didn't find security in their early life, right? Naturally, they want to find security now, in that in this now moment, right? Um, so of course it makes sense, right? Because they want to, you know, survive. So they want to find that security first, right? But then who knows? After they find that security, then they can try to find themselves more, right? So